please. Welcome to the WDW Fan Zone Show. I am Stuart Sternberg, and we are here with John Maloney, Darlene Nagy, and Kurt. And John, you're pretty dressed up tonight with tie. I know you came from.
For those who can't see because they're only listening, I've got my Mickey and Goofy and Donald tie on.
I love that tie.
Now, why don't you, before we get into the show, why don't you explain to the folks why you're so dressed up and plug your fundraiser tonight?
I was at a fundraiser for a local blind association agency. I happen to be on the board of that agency, and we were having an event where the participants came to dine, and they would dine within a blindfold so that they would get the experience of what sight impaired or sightless individuals have to deal with for something as simple as picking up a fork and a knife and eating food along with wine pairing. So drinking and eating and talking to others all at the same time that they're not able to see. Very interesting event. I've done it that way. And now today I was actually serving. So I was serving the wine and taking the glasses away and leading people to their tables.
Nice. Very nice. And I hope you guys raised a lot of money for the cause.
Yeah, so money to serve sight impaired and sightless individuals in our area, as well as awareness about challenges that sight impaired and sightless individuals have.
Yeah.
Very good. Very nice.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I want to get this part of the show out of the way right now, because I think this is going to be very different from what we usually do. I think there might be some friendly hostile fire during the show. We'll see, depending on the direction it goes. But I do want to mention, whenever you want to go to Walt Disney World, there's only one way to travel to Walt Disney World, one travel planner to allow you the opportunity to have the greatest vacation you could ever have. And that's Mouse Fan Travel. So whether it's going to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Adventure, Disney Cruise, a non-Disney vacation, they do that too. And they do it better than anybody else. You know why they do it better than anyone else? Because they listen to what you want. They listen to how you want to do things. They listen to what your family or personal needs might be, whoever's in your travel group. They actually take the time to get to know who you are and what you're all about. And how do I put this? They come up with these programs within their, when I say programs, I mean they come up with these plans for you within their deals that they've got going on, whether it's at Walt Disney World or elsewhere, that fit your needs better than anyone else can do it. So when you go on vacation with them or through them, you're going on the greatest vacation you'll ever have. And guess what? You'll never use another travel planner again, because they are the best. So like I always say, forget the rest, go with the best, and that's Mouse Fan Travel. You can check out all the great deals they've got going on right now by going to www.mousefantravel.com. That's www.mousefantravel.com. All right, John, you came up with the topic for tonight's show. So why don't you explain to what you want, and me and Kurt and Darlene will rip you apart.
Oh my! Well, you're here to contribute. I'm not here with an idea of what I think is going to happen or why it's going to happen. But the discussion for tonight is, what do we think our projections are for crowds next year? What do we think the trend is going to be? Do we think they're going to continue at the level that they are now? Do we think they're going to go up? Do we think there's any chance that they might come down? Do we think that there's any chance of any return to seasonality? Or do we expect things to just plow right on through? And I think it's helpful to talk about the factors that we think are going to have an impact there. And some of the factors are, what do we think the level of vacationing is going to be, throughout next year, whether it's through the entire year, the beginning of the year? How do we think pressures like inflation or the job market or other things,
right, recession,
factors like visitors from overseas. So the change, is there any change in the makeup of the guests? Uh, the things, and then around that, what could happen if we see any change in, first of all, do we see any change in the patterns of the guest level? If those guest levels change, do we think other things could change? Could Genie Plus have any kind of change? Or, what's the staffing going to be for the cast members? Are there any things that are closed now that are going to be open, or open now that could be closed? Those kinds of things. So that's what do we think our projections are for next year around the area of crowd levels and guest levels?
Well, before I want to just add something to that too. Right now in the parks, we're seeing a lot of visitors from overseas or other countries. The UK just had, I guess, most places in the UK were closed for 2 weeks, or a lot of people were on vacation for 2 weeks. So a lot of them came over here for the last couple of weeks. But you're seeing a lot of foreign visitors now, as the U.S. schools are, except for New Jersey this past week, were in, and there might be a couple other states, were in classrooms. So you got it. This used to be called Jersey Week. I think it still is, as a matter of fact. But now you've got the Run Disney event. Those affect the crowd levels too.
Yes.
But we know the economy is not doing well, and that a recession is on the horizon. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point, but that's where it seems to be headed. That will have a major impact on who goes to the parks.
Which would be a change from what we've seen over the past year, certainly. Do you think?
Possibly.
Unless people saved their money,
Yep.
prepaid for their trip with a planner like Mouse Fan Travel.
Right. But what percentage of guests do we think have done that? So certainly that's, somebody that's well prepared. They've got their trip planned as much as 18 months ahead of time.
Yeah.
Plus, you have your Disney Vacation Club members that need to use their points.
That's right.
They can book them, or they can
No,
you can bank your points for at least a year. So,
but I think what Darlene's saying, they've already banked the points because of the pandemic.
oh, because the pandemic,
Right.
now you got to use your points up.
Yeah.
They can always sell them if they wanted to.
Right, but that's going to come back into an equilibrium if it isn't already starting to do so.
Yeah, and it probably has to an extent of some sort. First I want to say we all love Disney. We're all big Disney fans, but we're not here to paint a rosy picture of things when we don't see one. But if there is a rosy picture, we sure as heck are going to give you the full bloom of that rosy picture. But I think this takes a little different turn, or could take a little different turn, depending on what happens over the next month or so. Disney has some financial announcements they're going to be making this month. I'm not sure what they are. I didn't really read up on that, to be honest with you. So, who knows? But their stock goes up one day and it just drops out the next day. But yet the parks are so busy, and they're making a lot of money in the parks right now.
They're beyond the parks, though.
Absolutely.
Disney
It's the
so much other
movies.
things going on.
It's the streaming.
It's the TV's channels. It's all of that stuff.
Yeah. Do you think Disney has, and I don't want to get off topic here, but do you think Disney has gotten too big to handle some of the things that they will need to handle, like the park crowds for next year, if they return the way they have this year?
What do you mean by Disney being too big to be able to handle the park crowds?
It's such a big corporation that sometimes the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, because it's so big. You've got so many divisions and separate parts to the whole that it's difficult sometimes to bring them all in sync.
I think they're, judging by an article that I read last week, they're actually, I mean, he was talking, Chapek made some comment about how they were starting to sync up the Disney app, so that when you went from the Disney app, you're walking around in the parks, if you were spending a lot of time at Adventureland, maybe on say Pirates of the Caribbean, that then the next time you opened up Disney Plus, you would start seeing on your homepage Pirates of the Caribbean stuff. So I think they're aware of what each other part is doing. I think it's all being done electronically with artificial intelligence. But I think they've been doing it for a long time. So
Yeah, they're looking for synergy. They've looked for synergy across their product lines for quite a while.
Mhm.
And you've seen recently such things as giving discounts at Disney resorts if
Yep.
you were a Disney Plus subscriber. And they've
Right.
done other things. The Disney Cruise Line, we
Mhm.
were able to add somebody to a cabin for a cruise we have booked next year because we're Disney Plus subscribers. We didn't pay anything additional to add them to our cabin. So they're definitely looking for that synergy.
They just announced something this week too. For Disney Plus subscribers, there's merchandise discounts,
Right.
and they're looking to do something like Amazon for Disney members or Disney Plus members, or Disney fans for that matter. So it's all coming into like one. I don't want to say one big circle, but it's coming into like one big sphere.
Well,
Where-
right. Yeah. So I think they have a view across their products. So I would say I don't think that it's going to be a strain on them to pay attention to the parks.
Now, is part of this view using what do you call that stuff? Virtual reality. So if you can't get to a park, you can have the park at home. I've heard them thinking about possibly doing something along that line. Now, that certainly would keep the crowd levels down if a lot of people go to that because they just can't afford to go to the parks.
I don't think it's going to affect crowd levels. Okay. I really don't think that's going to affect crowd levels.
Fair point, because how many people are actually going to prefer that over to the actual
being in the park?
Yeah.
You can't.
There will be people.
It's brand affinity, I think. So it gets you more excited to go to the park and might keep you coming back more frequently.
It's not something you can experience as a family. I mean, part of the fun is seeing the expression on your family's faces as you're doing things. You're not doing. You got a virtual thing on your face, and you're turning to look at your, even if you have two of those, because a lot of those, what is it? The Quest 2, I think, is the one that's like $500 or something. You're not going to have a pair of those. You're not going to have enough for like spending $2,000 on those things. But if that's what you're using, you look over at them and they're just a cartoon version of themselves. You're not seeing them smile or anything.
But virtual reality is a great way to keep the park or the magic of the parks alive when you can't get to the parks. So I do agree that it's not going to affect the crowd levels, but I think it will be a big home run for them.
Some of that is being done now through video games. I mean, I got video games going back to I think it was the PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, where they did all the attractions on there. We used to play that all the time. We loved it, and then they stopped doing it. So I think they run and they do something, and then they just let it sit there for a while. Then they do it again. It was like they did the D show, and they'd had a way of planning with a disc that you could plug into your computer that unfortunately won't work on my computer anymore.
So let's take John's idea of the show, with the lines for next year, and let's just run through the seasons. January's coming soon. That's the first season. That's usually a quiet time of year. Darlene,
we do have Marathon Weekend there.
Yes, we do. And also the what is it? The festival that comes after
Festival of the Arts.
Yes,
Festival of the Arts.
That's another popular festival.
Yeah. And speaking of Marathon Weekend, all of the Marathon Weekend events are currently sold out.
Yep.
So they still have demand for those races. Darlene, have you seen how things look for either Princess or Springtime Surprise?
Princess, I believe, is that the one with the 10 miler?
No, Princess has the half marathon. The
That has the
Springtime
half.
Surprise has the 10-miler. It
Okay, well, I
looks
know
like
the 10-miler, that one is sold out.
all of the princess races are sold out for February.
Yeah, and I think even the, surprise with that one is as well, because I know somebody was trying to get into it. They're taking, like, holds, but in case something happens and a spot opens, but
Well, the 10-miler is the one race that is still open for the Springtime Surprise.
it wasn't
Surprisingly,
today.
I'm looking at it right now.
Oh,
Says
really?
yeah, the 10K, the 5K are sold out. The challenge is sold out, but the 10-miler shows the ability to register.
Hey, Stuart,
Yes.
let's not register.
No. No. But you know what? You're talking about Run Disney, which is not a cheap
No.
experience. People pay it. The park tickets are not cheap. People pay it. Genie Plus, people are paying it, even though it's going to be on a tier level now, depending on how busy the crowds are for that part of the year. People are going to pay it. They have not yet reached that price point where people are going to say, okay, enough's enough. I think some people have, but I think there's always more people that will pay it than those who will not.
Well, what do we think? So that's one part of the financial equation
Mhm.
are the prices from Disney. But what about inflation, uncertainty about jobs, or do any of the guests that maybe had money built up during the pandemic might be have less of that built up?
Yeah,
So
well, you know what? It's going to come a point, especially if we go into a recession, where people are going to have to decide: do I put food on my table for my family, or do I go to Disney?
and it seems I don't know about Disney World just yet, but it seems that in general, people have already started making some of those decisions. Am I
Yes,
going to buy a
absolutely.
new car? Am I going to buy a new house? Do I have to cut back on
Mhm.
something?
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned new cars. Toyota just came out and said, we're going to keep raising prices of our cars. We're not making enough money. So let's keep raising up. So what's going to happen? People are going to say, do I want to spend this much on a Toyota when I can get another car for a lot less? It's just as good.
It,
Could that happen to Disney?
they're not making enough
doubt it.
money because they don't have enough cars on the market. They don't have enough cars on the market because they don't have enough chips. Now the
You know
chips are
what?
starting to be made, or the chips are being made. So all these cars that are sitting at Chicagoland, Ford has like an entire parking lot over at Chicagoland Speedway that's full, waiting for chips. So now the chips are being made in the States. Those cars are going to get
Mhm.
chipped. They can now come to their, now all of a sudden they're going to be flooded,
Yep.
but then they're going to be complaining because, well, no one will buy our car. Oh, well, here's your rebates. So they're going to be
Yeah.
raising all the car prices and lowering them back down through rebates to
Well,
where they are now.
yeah, and that's all very true. But my point was that I think Disney might be the exception to what the car industry is going to go through. I think people are going to pay it. I think if you get 10 families that say, you know, we can't afford Disney right now, you're going to get 20 families that can and will pay it no matter what they charge. It's going to take a long time for Disney to get to that point where people are going to stop coming. So will we see the crowd levels, based on what I just said, continue the way they are, or am I full of crap?
I think they're going to change the way they do things with the Genie Plus people. So when I started talking about it with my son, because we were there last year, we did Genie Plus every day. Looking back on it, we were like, did we need it here? Did we need it here? Which park did we definitely need it in? So we went from, okay, you're going to raise it by $7. If we're going to pay $7 more, is it really worth $7 more? Or would we be better off just going early, taking a break in the middle, and then going back later
Hmm.
in the day, taking a break when the crowds are crazy with the little kids and the lines are the longest? Or would we be better? You know, the Magic Kingdom, they kind of got you hooked there. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You really do need Genie Plus to see a lot in the Magic Kingdom. Somewhere like Animal Kingdom, I think you can figure it out.
All right, well, I was in Animal Kingdom today again, and I was with we were on somebody's disability pass, access pass, which we were very lucky for because Pandora was a 2-hour wait. It didn't take us anywhere near 2 hours because we were able to go through the lightning lane. I feel horrible that the people have to wait 2 hours or up to possibly 2 hours on the standby line. But what was created by Genie Plus is you have paying customers for the most part that are getting preferential treatment by having paid for Genie Plus. So they're taking many more of those people in the lightning lanes because it's extra paying customers than the regular paying customers who did not purchase Genie Plus. And
be careful with that, though, because Flight of Passage is not a Genie Plus attraction. It's a lightning lane attraction.
I'm sorry.
Those are two different. Those are two different things to be comparing.
So you have people paying extra for.
Right.
You're absolutely right, Kurt.
So yeah. So even there, it was the same thing. It's like they raised the prices of those too. So now we were paying around $22, $23, $25, whatever for Genie Plus and the lightning lane going into Pandora or Flight of Passage. Now all of a sudden they're going to ask $22. Oh yeah, and we're raising the price for you to get into Flight of Passage as well because you were paying it before, so now you're going to pay it again.
All right, well,
I found some secrets of how to do Flight of Passage. I'm not going to talk about it because I want to make sure I'm getting on the Flight of Passage.
So here's something that I want to say. With the Lightning Lane and the Genie Plus, do you feel like they are penalizing the normal person that doesn't buy it, making them wait in that line for 2 hours, not distributing the people evenly?
I'm so glad you brought that up because John and myself and Kurt, before the show started, we got into a little bit of a discussion. Darlene had stepped away for a minute.
Because I've been in those lines.
Yes, so have I.
Yeah.
And we started talking about the effect of Genie Plus and I think Genie Plus and John will disagree with me on this, and that's fine. I'm good with that because there are probably a lot of people out there that will disagree with me. I think Genie Plus was created knowing full well it was going to create long lines and they were going to give preferential treatment to people paying extra. Because that's what you see. You don't see it like it was with Fast Pass, where you get a Fast Pass and you'd have a Fast Pass lane. It would like take 4 from one line, 4 from another line, standby from the Fast Pass lane, and it was even. Now you have Genie Plus, and it's like come in from the Genie Plus line. Okay, 3, 4 people from standby, you can go in now. Yeah. All right, 100 people from Genie Plus go in. They've made it where you have to buy Genie Plus, especially in the Magic Kingdom. You can't.
Let me jump in real quick, John. There were times with Fast Pass, depending on the time of the year and when it was, that when that 5-minute block would drop, they would let in a lot more people with Fast Pass than they were on the regular line. So this was well before that. It didn't feel the same, but it was well before Genie Plus. Genie Plus didn't start that. Fast Pass started that. It wasn't always an even distribution. It depended on what attraction you're on.
Oh, it was never an even distribution, no.
But it would literally be worse now.
It is much worse now.
It was like 20 or 30 to 10. So it was, you guys can go. Okay, now you guys.
Yeah. They don't have a choice with making it more uneven now because people are paying for it.
Oh, absolutely.
There's an expectation when you're paying for something that you are getting something out of it. If you had a Fast Pass and you had to wait 20 minutes even to get through your Fast Pass lane, you at least didn't pay for it. But if you paid $15, $22 for it, you don't want to be waiting 20 to 25 minutes in that.
I agree.
Plus,
here's my thing is that a person that doesn't have an annual pass that comes for a once in a lifetime trip, they already spent, say, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on this trip.
Right, which is why,
The
That
hotel
is
rooms are
just
not
not fair
inexpensive.
for them to be standing in a line for 2
well,
hours.
if you spend $5,000 on a trip and you don't spend an extra 15 to $22,
But say you have a family of 5 or
I
Thank
5
I
you.
people.
I
Yeah.
I understand, but I'm just saying, why would you spend that much money for a trip and not get the
You're
experience?
looking at it the wrong way, John. Some of these people may have scrounged every penny they have. They may not have
Yeah.
any more
Yes.
money. They've reached their limit, and now they're having the worst vacation of their life at Disney World of all
Yeah.
I
places.
just spent $7,000. Other $1,000 out of me.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But all I'm saying is, it's not in your own best interest to spend that much money and not get like
All right,
not get it for the Magic Kingdom or the places you're going to need it.
you've got 2 preschoolers, or maybe 3, that you've promised, "We're gonna go on a vacation of a lifetime. You're gonna love it. I was there when I
The
was a kid."
park
It's
is
not the
for
same
them,
park.
not the adults, basically, especially
What?
Magic Kingdom.
No, my
Well,
kids went along with the trip.
But
They just were along.
yeah,
We dragged them with.
yeah.
we are getting far afield of our projections for next year.
But no, we're not, because
Well,
and
yeah,
I'll tell you what, I think Disney has created, or Disney has inflated the lines beyond where they could
well,
be
but
for profit. And
like,
I'm not criticizing them for that, because they are a for-profit
yeah,
company.
that's not talking to what the level of the crowds are going to be. That's talking about the lines, but it's not
But I
talking
don't
about
see, John, unless people stop coming, and they're not going to, I don't see it changing.
I don't think, but that's not the that I think that's only part of the equation. There's still other factors that are going to affect people
All right,
coming over.
Darlene, you're in the parks even more than I am. How
Mhm.
many times do you see people there that are having one of those experiences where they're paying hundreds of dollars for their group to cut right in front of the line because they're getting one of those tours?
Right. Oh, yeah.
There are
I've
more and more of
seen
them. It's those special experiences that they're
yeah.
pushing.
I've seen the one couple, they were walking out of Hollywood Studios. I forgot who I was with, and they were going to another park to go and ride other rides. And it was a family of 4,
Mhm.
and they paid for the tour, and those are like, I wanna say it's like $700 a person.
They're
Yeah,
not cheap.
they're not cheap at all, and
No.
it's for a number of hours. I don't know if it's 6 or 7 hours. I'm not
And
sure.
they're transferring you back and forth in that
Yep.
private van on top of everything else,
You're
too.
getting the
Mhm.
star treatment. You're getting, if a Hollywood actor or actress came in there, you're getting treatment like that, but you're paying through the nose for it.
Mhm.
And they're pushing those. They're finding they're catering to the one percenters who in a recession can still afford it.
Mhm.
And you're not going to, you have Europeans coming over who are throwing money at Disney like it's going out of style, because it's their vacation.
But what is the impact on the stat? What is the impact on the crowd levels? So given that you're saying things that Disney is charging more for things, and
Everybody is, but
right, so that talks to the experience. So based on what you're saying, you perceive the experience to be, how do you think that impacts crowd levels for next year?
I I think the crowd levels are still going to be there next year. You
I
might
think they
see,
are as well. I don't think
From
they're gonna
right.
go down.
Okay, and
so
so why do you say that? And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, asking why. What makes you think?
Because I know for a fact I've got, um, friends from my old jobs that are both coming down, all within the next few months, going into next year,
Mhm.
have they never
because
been here
they
before,
couldn't. No, they've
or
been
what?
here before, but they're coming back, but they haven't been able to come back in 3 years. So
Why I did.
this is why we're
I
gonna still have this huge influx for the parks. I don't
so
It's
now
not
this
gonna go
is
down.
I don't understand that reasoning though, because when you say they haven't been able to go in 3 years, so when I say I have, I don't mean that to sound pompous, but it's like I I've
With the
been
type of
coming down
jobs
as
that they've
well.
had, these people have not been able to.
So work is preventing them from coming back, is what you're saying.
Yes.
or financial.
Or
Their
financial.
yeah, the
Not
financial
all
they can afford
employers
it.
paid and that, when
Yeah,
you
I
were
know plenty of people that got laid off even temporarily because of
Oh yeah, I
the
was.
world events.
yeah.
Yeah,
And yes,
yeah.
they did get unemployment, but that stimulus money didn't last as long as some people thought. Some people, it's still going on because nobody wants to work anymore at certain types of jobs.
That's the thing.
And Disney's having a lot of trouble finding people for certain positions right now, for whatever the reason is. But they're
It's
not alone.
all,
Everybody is. It's
all
all
of them are
across.
because my niece works for a company that they were giving bonuses just to get you to go in just for the interview. They'd give you $100 gift card just to show up for an interview, whether they would hire you or not. And she said they would have 6 people signed up for it,
Mhm.
and none of them would show up actually for
You know,
it.
think about it. If you have a choice of making, I think Disney pays about $15 an hour, making $15 an hour or more, working from home, or spending 8 to 10 or maybe even more hours on your feet in a park working in the heat, what are you going to choose? So,
I
working
didn't
from
they bring
home is
back a lot of the college kids again though?
I'm sorry,
Because
say that
that
again?
the
They
college the
they
college
they've
program
been
Yes,
coming back,
they have
yes.
been coming back.
Those are
is
the
that as large?
international though too.
I was going to say is when I was down there, well, again, I was down there last May, and at the time they hadn't brought back. They were just announcing
Yeah, they
that they were
started
going to
bringing
be
back.
bringing back the internationals. So I don't know. My question is, how's the international group doing? Is that adding to more cast members? And same thing with the college group. How is that adding? Is it are you noticing a difference in the number of staff members that are there, cast members that are there? Because when I was down there, that was part of the issue was they just didn't have enough cast members for opening up restaurants and stuff.
In Epcot, you do notice the difference because most of the restaurants have reopened.
Yes.
In the other parks, no.
And that's what I wondered. So like somewhere like Mama Rail Roses, I heard they'd like a third of the tables weren't open, and that was still in late June or July. A third of the tables weren't open because they just didn't have the staff to work it.
Now I was at ESPN today for the marathon this weekend working, and the staffing seemed very good at the ESPN complex between custodial staff and cast members and workers in the cafe and all that stuff. So,
You know, uh, this is not a Disney issue, but when we went through a recession the last time, I think it was 2009.
8.
Okay. Employers started to treat their employees not so nicely because they knew the employee was stuck at that job because the likelihood that they would get another job was not very great. However, now it's the employees that don't want to work at certain jobs, but yet the employers are still taking advantage of the fact that people need jobs and they're still some are trying. I'm just generalizing this. I'm not saying they're all like this. I'm certainly not saying Disney's like this. But people want to be treated differently than they're being treated or enticed to work, and it's not happening yet. And this is, everywhere. And that's creating a problem. But getting back to Disney, that's one of the issues, the staffing, which is making the crowds look bigger. We've got the reservation system, which I think Disney is never going to go away from because they get to control the guests.
They're controlling how many cast members they need for the guests.
It's the staff, and you know what? It's profit driven. So they're going to stay with it for as long as they possibly can. Do I know what the answer is going to be with all this? No, but my opinion is that we're going to see crowds, maybe not to the extent that we saw them this year, but darn close.
Now I can say within the last month, I had 2 students who were absent from school. And they're like, "Oh, you guys sick? Everything okay?" oh no, it's my brother's birthday. It was my birthday. It was so and so's birthday. We went to Florida. I'm like, oh, did you go to Disney World? Yes, one day.
Mhm.
One day only. They weren't doing a week. It was one day at one park.
All right, I'm not going to give the family's name out, but I know a family that's here right now that on previous vacations would spend most of the week at Disney World. You know how many times they plan on going this trip? Once. And costs are a big factor. When you're spending hundreds of dollars for the tickets, and then you're told, okay, we've got, and I'm not going to give the size of the family, but they're spending then another 15 per person on top of that for Genie Plus because they don't live here, so they can't come back every couple of weeks and say, okay, if I don't hit this right today, I'll come back then. It's causing people to have to spend more money. Now, if they built it into the ticket, they're still spending the money, but then, if the cost of vacation is $7,000 and not an extra couple thousand because you've got to pay extras here, there, and everywhere else, where you're getting nickel and dime, people might be able to make a better decision. Do I go to Disney World or not? And not worry about it. Like
Because
Kurt, I know in
Disney's
your
hiding.
case,
Yeah, Disney hides the nickel and diming when they do it that way.
yeah,
So,
right.
but you're right. I mean, we're Disney Vacation Club members. We don't get any of those discounts. And we've paid our money already up front. 3 of us here are Disney Vacation Club members. We've paid our money up front. We've paid them thousands of dollars up front.
Mhm.
Very rarely are we seeing discounts on anything ticket related. It's hard to even get it. They have these perks going on for that. You guys went to one of these things. I was staying on site and I couldn't even get into it. And you guys were both at something that I couldn't get into while
Yeah,
I
and I'm
was
not
on
even
site.
a DVC member.
And you guys aren't a DVC member. I'm like, how is this even possible? People were able to get stuff, so it's like, that's off task, I know, but it doesn't feel like this. I don't want to, I use the word synergy, but some of the synergy, even going to like the DVC synergy with the parks, you'd think it would be a little stronger. But they already have our money. So I don't know if they're like, well, you're going to come anyways because you're just a Vacation Club member.
You know what? Disney's a for-profit company. The lines are going to be there. The crowds are going to be there. But there are things they can do, which might be perks, we'll call them.
Right.
That's what they call them. They can do for annual pass holders, DVC members, for others that will make the experience more tolerable regardless of the size of the line. And they're not doing it because that'll take away from their profits. And I'm not blaming them for that. Like I said before, they are a for-profit corporation. But it's gotten to the point where if they see the lines the way they are now, they're like, they're drooling over these lines because they're making a lot of money. Where in the past, it's past regimes that were there running management cared about what the fan experience was because that meant other fans coming to the park. But does this Disney management need to care about that? Because if you think about how Disney controls all of our lives outside of the parks, there's so many facets to Disney that we come across daily. If you're even not a Disney fan, you're going to come across them. There's ESPN, there's Disney Streaming, there's movies, there's you name it, Marvel. So it crosses our paths every day.
I'm interested to see if there is a recession, if they do reach out to the Disney Vacation Club members and offer a discount somewhere, whether it's on annual passes, whether it's on, here's a 4-day pass, just like they give to the Florida residents. You guys can get that 4-day pass at X amount of dollars.
Annual pass holder.
Those are but Florida passes. You guys can get a 4-day pass for X amount of dollars. We're not even offered those.
Well, you shouldn't. Every other DVC member, yes, but
I know. What do we deserve? We deserve nothing. Patooey, yeah.
I mean, DVC, we do get a discount and a renewal.
on the last discount on the annual pass renewal was the same discount on the annual pass renewal that an annual pass holder would get.
Correct.
But you know, I
You
think
would think
it
we would get
doesn't matter.
more for being a
No,
DVC owner,
no.
but we don't.
You don't get any discount with that. The discounts we get X amount of percent on when you're buying. It's the same thing as whatever the annual passes get. That's the discount we get on whenever you buy something. It basically pays for the tax. Or on certain table service restaurants, you can get a discount on food. I think Earl of Sandwich will offer a discount, as a matter of fact, which is kind of nice. And hey, happy National Sandwich Day, by the way, to Earl of Sandwich. So, but we're not the people that they're trying to entice.
No.
They know they've got us.
Yep.
We're in there. We're hooked.
Now,
They're enticing that new family.
I can see someone from Disney listening to the show and going, you know, Kurt's right. But here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give them ticket packages from now on, but we're not gonna let them own annual passes unless they live here.
Okay. I don't come down
but the ticket package they're gonna offer you is gonna be more money than if you got an annual pass, because after all, they are for profit.
So that wouldn't happen because we're only coming down 4 or 5 days at a time.
Yeah.
So we come down, we get a 2-bedroom DVC resort villa for those 5 days. And I mean, we're big. Well, I won't even talk about what the prices are, but it's not worth us getting an annual pass, to be honest with you, because we don't come down enough.
You know,
I'm not a marathoner.
I know people who used to come 3 weeks a year.
Yeah.
Not doing it anymore.
No.
It's just gotten too expensive for them. And if you can afford to go to Disney for 3 weeks at a shot, you know, you have some money somewhere. Or a credit card with a lot of debt on it.
I knew people used to go for like 3 months in the wintertime over to Fort Wilderness. They're like,
right.
You can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Right. So you're all talking about, I've heard you, all of you say that, you know, there's people, you know, that are cutting back on how many days they go, or they're, you know, they're not coming. So who's filling those gaps?
I think you're seeing a lot of people. You're seeing a lot of people in the parks now that have never come or haven't come in a long time, that have been able to save their stimulus money, or they've got money because they happen to be wealthy, and they've now got kids and they want to bring their kids there. But are they having the same experiences that we had with our kids when they were little? And I think the answer is no.
Well, then how does that keep the crowd level?
Because there's so many people out there that, and like I said, you know, we have Disney affects our lives daily, whether you're a fan or not. There's some crossover somewhere that Disney owns or is a part of. And people, you know, people are gearing toward, you know, so you're getting people from all walks of life all over the place that maybe never experienced it, but, you know, and they may never come back. But Disney right now is showing they don't care if you come back or not, because there's someone else who's going to come and stay.
You already mentioned it, Stuart. It's the people coming from another country. They're finally able to come back.
That's right.
That's starting to feed back in. So where you're not seeing as many people local as in the United States, where they're, I can't stand this, I'm so upset, I'll never go back again. Now you're starting to see people from overseas able to start coming back because they loosened the restrictions on what was needed to leave their country or what we required for you to come into our country.
Darlene is going to have some news about Disney Cruise Line next Tuesday, so I'm not going to give it now. But there are going to be more people going on cruises because of what the news is.
Stuart's a tease. Just know that, people.
Tune into the show that we record Tuesday nights. Darlene will let you know all about it.
I already got the email.
Yeah. John, you've heard us rip. And I apologize to Disney. We're not trying to rip you apart, because it's not just Disney that's doing these things. It's everywhere. But we're more concerned with Disney. And we are big Disney fans. But John, let's hear your opinion, because you're going to have a brighter look at things.
Well, no, and it's not my the discussion is, what are the levels going to be? It's not going to be, the discussion to me is not what is the experience, what is the price, what is the value. It's really what the crowd levels are going to be, and that's what we're trying to talk about. And when you say things like there are more, you know, there are more people coming from other countries, from overseas, I can understand that. One of the other things that I think, there's a couple of other things that I think are factors here. One of them is Universal, and they are actively marketing. They are doing surveys about experience at Disney parks. They're asking people, what their plans are for the Universal parks versus the Disney parks. They're certainly working on Epic Universe, and I think you've heard some of the reports that some people are spending more time at the Universal parks than they did before. There's reports out there that the attendance at the 2 Universal parks in Orlando surpassed the Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, and Epcot for the first time. And there's different factors, but so I think that's another factor, the parks down the street and people that are going there that might have gone to Disney before or more often to Disney. And then there's also the discussion about what is the perception of Disney. So what are you reading in news articles? What are you seeing on social media? Some of the things you've already talked about. So there is definitely news out there about the cast members are newer and don't have the experience. Maybe the guest experience isn't as good because they're waiting in line.
They're not getting trained. They're not getting trained as well as they did before.
So there's a lot of news and personal reporting out there that seems to be a pullback on the opinion of the experience. So I think there's a lot of factors out there that are going to put some limitation on certainly an increase in crowds, if not a decrease over the course of the next. So we've got another 14 months till we get to the end of next year. So,
I don't believe the crowds are going to level off to any major extent, if at all. I think people that are coming to Universal will spend time at Disney that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. Where it used to be, you would come down to Disney, you might spend a day at Universal if you could, or you'd stay on property. The incentives to stay on property are not there either. But I still don't think that's going to affect the crowd levels. I think maybe Universal, in effect, is going to increase the crowds at Disney, because if they're coming down here and they're here, let's spend a day or two at Disney.
So don't they have the incentive at Universal that if you stay on site, they give you that front of the line pass for all the attractions?
Yes.
At
one of their resorts.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard their family resorts are
and
more family friendly. That's what I've heard.
They are doing things that Disney has fallen behind the 8 ball on.
I think there's added pressure, added downward pressure on the levels. Now, Disney certainly has their own tools to increase attendance. So they've got discounts, and they are offering discounts. So they only offer discounts when they're trying to fill rooms. And I agree that in the near term, Disney is certainly booked for December when I'm going to be down there. All the DVC properties are booked up, but I see some of the reasons why the staffing levels are higher. I see some of those factors eroding into next year. I certainly have no way of knowing, but I think there are going to be things that pull at it. Whether it actually comes down or Disney has to respond to prop it back up is to be seen.
You know what I think we'll know for sure? 2024, spring break, Easter. That's when you're going to know if crowd levels are starting to slow down in the parks. I don't think you're going to see it in 2023. I think 2023 is going to be a robust year for them in terms of guests, the number of guests.
Well, don't forget, we still have the 50th going on until what, March?
March.
March
Right.
3rd or something like that.
That's another thing that's going away. They certainly have.
Well,
at
they're
least,
filling that void with the 100th
Right.
anniversary of the Walt Disney Company.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean, John just mentioned that something, and it actually made me think of something. Advertising.
hmm
I am seeing 3-1 Disney over Universal for advertising. It's like book your
It's always
room
been like
now.
that, though.
It seems like it's a little more right now though, and it almost feels like they're like, hey, we've got room deals for you now. They're advertising up here. I don't know what they're doing everywhere else, but they're like, you only have until March 3rd. Find a room discount now. I'm wondering if going into next year after I mean, the holiday season December is 99%, it's always crowded and crazy,
Right.
but it's that after time where I'm wondering, like we said, are those numbers that we're projecting are going to just keep skyrocketing? Are they not as busy right now as we think they're going to be?
Oh, I think they're very busy.
I'm asking. I have no idea because of all the advertising I'm seeing. It's going crazy. I feel like there's more advertising right now than there's been in like there was 6 months ago.
And how long can revenge travel last?
Yeah.
How long can people
Look, I don't disagree with you.
spend money that they've hoarded away and hadn't had a chance to spend before?
Right.
But I think they're catering to the wealthy. They're pricing
wealthy,
families out.
Wealthy people have always had the opportunity to go to Disney.
Yeah.
So that's not going to change. I don't think that changes the level.
But there's more of a disparity now between wealthy and there is no middle class anymore. You're either rich or poor.
Well, all I'm saying though is that the people that had money always have had the opportunity, and the number of wealthy people is the number of what you're calling wealthy people going up.
You know what I think it is? In the parks.
It's all those TikTok influencers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy that. I think that there's always going to be, I don't disagree that it's more expensive to go there, and the percentage of people going there are more well-to-do than middle class or below.
Well, how long is it going to be before the Europeans or people from South America have come back before that starts to level off? We're just seeing the beginning of this now.
I think that's a part of it, absolutely. But I think that there's definitely an edge towards the domestic travel cooling off.
Oh, I don't disagree with you there.
Yeah.
But I think the overseas factor is taking over, and that's why I don't think you're going to see a big change until March of 2024 at the earliest.
So you think the Europeans are going to start coming over here in the wintertime to get...
They're here now.
And then you think, like, come summertime, the Brazilians are going to come up to get warmer.
Absolutely. We haven't seen the Brazilians
you think
come
that
back.
by summertime.
Yeah, we haven't seen the Brazilians come back the way they have in the past. That's going to happen this coming year.
I miss the flags. I don't miss the crowds. I miss their flags.
I miss the Brazilians. I love the Brazilians.
I never miss
I love the Brazilians.
Yeah.
The Brazilians do me the biggest favor. They walk into the park, and the first attraction they go on in Epcot is Spaceship Earth. So I go to the back and work my way.
They go to the back.
No, but when we had the website WDW fans on the blog, a lot of our readers, believe it or not, were from Brazil. So we had a nice
research
Brazilian following.
Well, we certainly don't have our fingers on statistics for.
No, we don't. But Disney does.
The past distribution of attendance levels for domestic versus foreign.
Here's where I think Disney, and I'm not blaming Disney alone on this. I think there are a lot of companies that are doing this, are missing what's going on in the parks, even though it might be right in front of their eyes. And I don't know how their research is projecting things, but they're looking at profit right now this quarter. They're not looking at, and you can see that from the D23 event that they had, Expo, that was held in California this year. There was nothing mentioned about the parks here. They're not looking into the future right now. They're looking at what can they do to maximize their profits right now. Right. That's dangerous, especially if you go into a recession.
And we're not the only ones in a recession. I mean, we're talking about a worldwide
Yeah.
recession.
Absolutely.
There are
Absolutely.
England for a while there. I mean, that dollar was the pound of the dollar was way up. Now it's
Yeah.
they're trying to figure that out right now.
And moving into a global recession, and if we
Mhm.
do, is not going to allow the crowd levels to stay where they are.
No, but that's why I think you're going to still see the surge continue through 2023 until March of 2024. That's when we'll know for sure, because if spring break comes March 2024 and Easter comes and you can make park reservations and you can get discounts in a resort and they're trying to get people in the parks, then you're going to know they stop coming.
I think demand is going to cool. I don't know how much, but I think it's going to cool sometime next year.
You know what,
I agree.
John? I hope you're right, because I'm
Well,
tired.
yeah.
And Darlene and I will bet disagree. I'm sorry, agrees, because it's tiring to go to the parks, get there, and every attraction is over an hour. And I'm talking about just the standby line is over an hour wait.
Hmm.
It's very frustrating.
It is, because I mean, I remember going. I didn't need fast passes when I went before.
Yep.
We
Yeah, I
did
didn't
not.
either. I can't tell you
Everything
how many.
moved smoothly.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I went to the parks and it's just like, I don't want to get a fast pass. So if I wait 5 minutes more, I'll wait 5 minutes more, maybe 10 minutes more.
Hmm.
You can't do that now.
No,
I can remember being frustrated at 60 days out when you couldn't get the fast pass to the attraction. Now I'm frustrated that morning that I can't get the fast pass to the Genie Plus pass to the big attraction. You know, it is what it is. The Genie Plus is here to stay, as we said. Is it going to affect the crowd levels? No. Is it going to affect how people do things in the parks? Yes. The number of days in the parks? Yes. Again, we've already adjusted how when you're in the DVCs, it's a different situation. We have a full kitchen. We've already discussed we're not going to eat all our meals in the park. Instead of having 2 meals in the park, we usually do lunch and dinner. One of those meals is going to be back at the hotel. So we'll be at the resort. Hey, we're going to have pizzas on this night. Hey, let's get stuff for sandwiches. We're going to have sandwiches on this night. You know, we can order a chicken at, I don't know, you guys have Publix down there. Eat a chicken at Publix. So we don't have to eat in the parks. And that's going to affect the bottom line of how much they're making. So that's where they're pricing themselves out with some stuff also is when they come out and say, well, we're raising the prices because people will pay it. Well, we're not going to every meal anymore.
But what I think will happen is when people finish coming here for the first time, whatever is causing the crowds to come here now in droves, when that starts to diminish, and I like I said, I think it's going to take more than a year before we see any of that happen. And I could be very wrong about that. The economy certainly could dictate what happens in the parks next year.
Mm-hmm.
But once the park levels start to diminish, what's Disney going to do? How are they going to react? How are other businesses going to react to get people spending money on things other than putting food on their table, which is the first and most important thing they have to do? Will free dining come back?
No.
That certainly will be an indication as to whether the resort rooms are getting filled up. We haven't seen free dining.
I don't think you're going to either.
Well, they don't have to do it right now. You know why? Because people are spending the money. But Kurt's right. There are going to be a certain segment of the population at the Disney resorts. They're going to say, we'll get a Publix chicken. We'll go to Walmart. We'll get some food from there. We're not going to eat in the parks. We'll bring our lunch.
I don't think the reason you're not going to see free dining come back, you won't see that until they can fill all of those restaurants, the table service restaurants, at full capacity. Otherwise, free dining, what good is free dining going to do for me if I can't eat anywhere?
Well,
that's what you're going to hear.
How much of the staffing issues do you think are still from the pandemic, and how many of them do you think it's because people just don't want to work or work with people?
Too many places are online.
Yeah.
They'd
Mhm.
rather work online than they
Yep.
don't have to interfere. They don't have to deal with the other people.
Right.
They'd rather just do that. And there's too many places that have now gone online.
I agree. I agree with that. Like, you know what, John, you know what, you could very well be right. You know, this is just my
So could
opinion. I
you.
think, you know,
This is
I
all
think,
conjecture on our part.
you know, Disney certainly has the statistics going forward of what they think the crowds will be next year. But I can tell you, if any indicate, you know, when was it? The beginning of October, the first 2 weeks of October, actually, not the first week, the second and third week of October, supposed to be some of the quietest times of the year at Disney World. They were some of the busiest times. Why? Because you had foreign travelers here.
Yeah, I agree that that is going to increase. But I think that at some point it's going to level off. But I think there's going to be more of an impact to the domestic travel for many different reasons.
Well, they still haven't started selling annual passes again, other than the Pixie Dust one, which is the lowest level annual pass you can get.
Yeah, well, and they're not going to do that until they need to. Uh,
Hmm.
but
Absolutely.
you know, I think we need to revisit this topic 6 months from now and
Yeah,
see,
I agree.
Mhm.
see how things are playing out.
Oh God, it's the management style of Bob Chapek is very different from Bob Iger. Bob Iger's was very different from Eisner, and so on and so forth. That's not to say one is better than the other. They just have different ways of doing things. I think as ardent Disney fans, it's affecting us differently now for a number of reasons. And it's quick to point the finger at Disney and say it's their fault, but maybe it's not, because everybody's doing the same thing Disney is doing. It's just easier to point the finger at Disney because we're Disney fans.
Mm.
I hate going to the parks. I hate crowds anywhere. I hate crowds in the supermarket. I hate crowds in Walmart. I hate crowds in the street. I hated living in New York City because of the crowds, which is why I moved to Jersey.
And this year, playing the Grinch will be Stuart
Yeah.
Sternberg.
No. Yeah, I just think the crowds are going to continue, and when they stop continuing at the parks, there's going to be trouble there. I don't know that they're a step ahead of where they should be with that. I think they're looking at their streaming services, their movies. I think that's where the focus is now, because that's where they think the money is to be made. But if you ignore the parks are their bread and butter. Mickey Mouse is great, but there's nothing like bringing your children to Walt Disney World or Disneyland or some other Disney park or even a Disney cruise. Just seeing their faces. We watched the Lion King show today, and there was a mother with her young child in the front row where we were. And she was just as excited, if not more excited, than her child. And it was so wonderful to see that. And you'd hate to see that going away from the parks. You don't want to see that go away. You want to see more of that. You want to see the bright smiles. You want to see the magic come back. I'm not saying the magic is gone, but you want to see more magic. That would have been a better way to put it. You want to see more magic return to the park. And I don't know what the future holds for it. It just doesn't look rosy right now because of the crowds are really messing with everything there. It's great for Disney in terms of lining their pockets with cash, but it's not good for the people that are going to the parks. You can still have a great time in the parks despite what's going on. It's what you make of your day in the parks. But it makes it harder to make your day the best it can be when you're waiting an hour for this attraction, an hour for that attraction, or you're forced to spend the money to get Genie Plus or the pay-per rides to get those experiences, and then have a credit card bill when you get back home that you didn't expect, when you have to put food on the table for your family. But I just don't see the crowds going away anytime soon. Just don't see it. John, do you want to add anything else, or Darlene,
Uh,
or Kurt?
well, so one thing we didn't talk a lot about, and that is seasonality. Do we think
Mhm.
that next year we'll have any more of the ebbs and flows that we've seen in the past, or do you think it's just going to be, you know, this, high level the entire way through the year?
I
It's
think
your
it's gonna be
darn
high
runners.
level all
Yeah.
the way through.
Yep. We haven't seen an ebb and flow in the park since September of 21.
Yeah.
It's you darn runners. That's
Yeah.
if there was ever an ebb, it was filled by a princess or some other kind of marathon thing. So now
You
that
know,
they're bringing the runners down there, everyone wants to run. If you
Plus, they
couldn't get into that one, you're going to
the
get into the next one.
springtime surprise and to bring
mhm.
more down.
You know when the crowd started to get bigger and bigger and bigger? It started in October for the anniversary last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little bit of a lull after that first week,
Mhm.
but it was slightly increasing towards the end of the year. And then when January hit, everybody expected, okay, great, it's now the first, second week of January. Yes, there's a Run Disney event, but the park crowd shouldn't be so great. And they were just as big and crowded then as they were Christmas time. And that continued into March and April and through the rest of the year. And I think
I don't disagree for this past year.
you're going to see the same next year.
I I have a feeling that there's going to be hints of seasonality coming this year.
I hope you're right, but
You mentioned Stuart. You mentioned that it's the 100th anniversary.
mhm.
They've already done a 100th anniversary, and it didn't. They did Walt's 100th birthday, and
Mhm.
I didn't. Well, again, that was back 2003.
Well,
It
we're in a different
wasn't
time
a
now.
huge
Do you think
difference, but times have changed.
yes, times have changed. Do you think people are going to get excited for the Walt Disney World Company 100th anniversary as they did with the 50th? I don't, but I
No,
don't think they have to.
it's a celebration because they have to have something going on.
Yep.
I don't see it being a, oh my gosh, it's the Walt Disney 100th anniversary. Okay, it's the 100th anniversary. It's
Yeah.
a worldwide celebration like they
Yeah.
did for Walt.
You know where I can
It's
see that being a big boon to Disney? Disney Plus. It's a great thing for them to take advantage on Disney Plus, the 100th anniversary of the Walt Disney Company.
Mhm.
There's specials, there's movies, there's TV, new series rather, that they can put out there and promote the heck out of them based on that.
Mhm.
are the Alice companies not, or the Alice
Oh,
or the Alice
the Alice
comedies,
shorts.
are those on Disney Plus right now?
You know what? I have never looked for them there.
I'll look right now
Mhm.
because I mean that would be the type of thing. That's what you would release out there. I
Yeah.
have those. They're awesome.
Do you remember the not DVD? Maybe they came out on DVDs at one point. There were VHS tapes. They were in the silver containers. You could buy
They
them.
were DVD. I've got them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
They're
would be a great kind. I'm sure that's out there already on Disney Plus. Maybe it's not, but that's the kind of thing you're going to see, I think, there. But that's getting away from the parks. John, I really hope you're right that we'll see some drop off periodically here and there. I just, based on what I'm seeing going on in the parks for the last several months, I think that's here to stay. I think Genie Plus is a big factor in why the crowds are the way they are too. I think they're inflating the look of the crowd because of the lines they're creating.
They are not there, by the way.
Oh, okay.
There's something that could be released for it, though. Hey, here's the Alice comedies. And then you can go into Disney Hollywood Studios and learn how they made it. Okay, they don't have any of the stuff anymore.
Darlene, I'm sure you've seen this too in Epcot. You go to Epcot, you're going to see one of the concerts there.
Mhm.
As you go into the parks, you're expecting, okay, it's the evening, people are probably eating and leaving. No, they're coming in droves. in the evening.
Exactly. And the first thing that they hit is Spaceship Earth
Yep.
to go on.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's crazy. It's been very, very hard to go to a park to even a lot of times I go, I don't even ride a ride. I just walk around, grab a bite to eat, a drink, and just walk around and visit.
And from the Florida resident side, you have parents here who are not as scholastically conscientious as maybe they were in years past, and they have no hesitation taking their kids out of school to bring them to the parks.
Right.
It's
And I know that's
unfortunately
a
I'm seeing
generalization.
that
There are
even.
parents that will be very conscientious and say you have class, you're going to school. There are others that'll say,
Well, it
Mikey, who's
also
4, wants to
depends
go,
on
so
that
I'm going to take
school
Adam,
that
who's 8.
it depends on the school that they go to nowadays because I know family members of mine have been told they can't take their kids out of school during class.
But they
What
do anyway.
Or they get marks against them.
I can't tell you how many times I've been to the parks in the last few weeks where you see school-age kids in the parks,
I
and
know.
you know they need to be in school. And they may
Yep.
not be from Florida. They could be from elsewhere in the country. I don't
Mhm.
know
Yeah,
whether.
I told you 2 families I know if they were gone within the last month.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How do
And
you-
those 2, they just kind of offered, "Oh yeah, I wasn't sick. This is where I was at." And I was like, "Okay, I
Yeah.
don't know if you're supposed to be missing for that, but I'm
Mhm.
not complaining. You know, I don't.
well,
I got a love for
here's-
Disney too. I couldn't pull my kids in like that though.
Yeah, like with Jersey week, and their school is in session that week, two days out of the week. So out of 5 days, they're in session 2 days. It's a teachers' convention week. That's why they call it Jersey week at Disney. But none of the teachers really go to the convention. They're off
They'll go to
doing
Disney.
whatever, and they're not really, yeah, and they're not really, and some do, and I don't want to get flack for this. Some do, maybe many do, but I know when my kids were going to school, they weren't really covering any new material because they knew a lot of kids were going to wind up going to Disney.
Gone.
But for a parent in September, October to take your kids out of school to go to Disney for a week, a few days, that's insane.
Mhm.
That's the beginning of the year.
It depends on the age of the kid and the material it's being taught.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you're like a grade school kid who's advanced, it might not be that bad for you to miss. By the time you get to high school, you miss a week of physics?
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
I've always
You
said
can't
the
miss that
older
time.
the school age kid is, the more difficult it is to pull them out of school at any time of the year because the work that they're doing in the classroom is much more important. That's not to say you can't get an education at Disney World. You can.
Now, where they were cheating the system, and people are still doing this. There were times, even up until last year, where some of the school districts were offering off-campus, you're just doing it virtually. And if you miss class, then watch the video,
Mhm.
here's the information, whatever. But they're getting away from that now
Yep.
because they're finding nationwide that pandemic hurt everybody because the kids just weren't doing the work. And a lot of the stuff that's being done, it's like, oh, you did poorly on this test. Here, redo it. Well, the kids aren't learning as much. Some of them were just being told, copy your packet and put it into the grade to raise your grade up to whatever it is.
You know, it's, I don't want to get into politics or anything, but it just seemed like both sides of the political spectrum had no clue what the result of the pandemic would be. And no matter what they did,
Right.
the answer was wrong.
Right. This was nationwide. This isn't, I'm not trying to say it's something local where I'm at. This is articles I'm reading about nationwide. The scores are dropping, unfortunately.
I knew that was going to happen. You leave kids in the classroom, they get sick. You pull kids out of the classroom, they don't learn. What was the answer? I don't know what the answer was. I know what they didn't work. And I'm not blaming one side over the other. They were all wrong.
But and
they weren't wrong on purpose. They were wrong because nobody knew.
Right. So then, when there were still people going, they're doing it virtually. They'll do their homework tonight when they get back to the hotel room.
Yeah.
That's not happening anymore. You need to be in school.
Yep.
We don't have an open campus. It's closed campus. You are not allowed to leave.
My cousins were just here and they were at the beach and I went to see them and both kids had homework to do while they were here.
Were they younger though?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, the younger kids, you got to assign the homework.
Yep.
It's easier to assign the homework to a younger kid than it is, because also the parents can help them with the younger home. I could help them when they were in grade school. High school, forget it.
No, I
You,
know.
you just went well over the top of my education level with some of these things, because that was 30 plus years ago. But again, the older you get, you need to be there to see how it's done
Absolutely.
correctly. You can't just, here's a packet, figure it out, do the research on your own with a computer.
Yeah. But but you are seeing a lot of kids at Disney World now that shouldn't be there. They should be in school.
You're right.
You're seeing people taking vacations because they haven't been on vacation, and I just don't see it slowing down anytime soon.
I
That's not to
agree.
say it won't. And John, God, I hope you're right. I really do. I want to be wrong about this more than anything.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that there's a good answer. Even if I am right, then that means that there's forces that are causing that to happen, and they may not be the best things either. So,
Right.
yeah.
I think Disney's definitely motivated by profit to why we're seeing some of the things in the parks. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think there are better ways to do it and make the profit, if not more, than the way they're doing things. But that's how they've chosen it. Okay, fine. But it's not good for the guests that are especially if you're coming from out of town. If you live here, you can come back another day. You're coming for your one-time vacation. You're coming for a week, and you're not going to be back for months or years. It sucks.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? Every time you say that, it just makes me think, well, he's really talking about reasons why people won't come as much next year.
But they're coming. But the problem is they are still coming, and what sucks, and the part that sucks is they may not come back.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and Disney had a term for that. Bad show. Right now, there's a lot of bad show. But if you don't know that it's bad show, you may come back. So some of these people that are coming there now are like, oh, this wasn't as bad as I heard. All these people are complaining. I've never been here before. It didn't seem that as bad as what they were all saying. They don't know what was the good show.
Yeah, that's true.
To know that it's bad show.
But if people are coming here and they're smart enough to know that, to experience as much as they can, as best as they can, is to purchase Genie Plus, which is what Disney wants you to do, then, maybe they will come back. But can they afford to come back? That's the other question that we won't know for quite a while.
There are so many factors, and we've
yeah.
given our opinion of that.
And I think there's enough people, there's a big enough population in this world where if 1,000 people decide tomorrow I'm never going back to Disney, there'll be 2,000 people that will say we're coming back.
Yeah, but those people, they had to come from somewhere, and I think those people, if they wanted to come, they'd already be coming. And so we've had an increase because people couldn't travel, and now they can, or they had money build up and they're using it. I think that's going to trail off some, but we've already had that discussion, so
yeah,
we're gonna track it and see how it goes.
Yeah. I don't know what else there is to say.
I think we've exhausted the topic enough for now.
I think so too.
I think so. I just don't want to, I don't want to make it look like we're being overly critical of Disney, even though I was. I love Disney. I want to see it better. I want to see it be the best it can be. I just think this whole creation of Genie Plus, has created a monster. And and there's good and bad with it.
Well, and we've had plenty of discussions about
Yes,
that.
we have. Yeah.
Well, I'll report
here again tonight today, along with him.
I'll report back. I'm going to Epcot tomorrow, and Saturday I'll be at Disney Springs. So then, and I think Monday I'm going with a friend to Magic Kingdom to see the Christmas decorations. So I'll let you know how things look.
Oh, they look beautiful. I've already seen it online. It happened at 12:01 on November 1st.
Oh, can you believe there were people complaining that they didn't get the Christmas decorations up fast enough? It's just like, oh my God. I just Don't
Hey,
understand people.
when I went shopping the other day and heard two women talking, going, "Can you believe this? All this Christmas stuff is here. Things are already empty on the shelves, and we haven't even had Halloween yet."
I think
Yeah.
so. We said that last year. Hobby Lobby. It was August and September. Things were already 30 to 50% off at Hobby
Yeah.
Lobby,
Oh,
and we
yeah.
hadn't even made it to October yet, and they're already, like you said, it's like the stuff is gone.
Yeah.
So they're just getting it out there now. I'm just starting it. Hey, the Christmas stations have started on Sirius XM 104, 105, 71. You want your Christmas fix? Start listening to Sirius XM. They're probably not on your local station yet. You got to wait another 15 days.
I still say the best. There were two great channels on Sirius XM. 156, which has my favorite wrestling show with Dave LaGreca, Busted Open, and the other one is Channel 20 on Sirius XM, which is E Street Radio. It's all Bruce all the time.
You need Channel 90.
Just
You
give
need that
them a
NASCAR
couple of
station
plugs.
in there.
I think we're starting to lose, folks.
They're gone. They left right after like the first 5 minutes.
All right. So, John, you think the crowds are going to diminish somewhat? I don't think they will. Darlene, I don't think you think they will. How about you, Kurt?
They're going down.
You do think they
I said that months ago.
We'll see.
Do you think they'll go down to the point where people will be comfortable spending a day in Disney?
It'll never
without having to wait online for hours for attractions.
I think the numbers of people will start to diminish once there's no longer the 50th anniversary. They are trying to milk that 50th anniversary as much as they can.
But do you think that's why the Europeans, the South Americans, and people from other countries are coming here just for the 50th?
Well, they needed a reason to get out. Hey, look, I saw on the TV. They're running special. Let's get over there now.
Or do you think it's because they haven't been able to come here for a couple of years?
That's a great question. Ticket prices are still going up no matter what. Ticket prices for airfare is ridiculous right now.
It is.
And they don't project that's going to go down for another year. That's going to affect people coming down to Disney.
You know, I know somebody in Japan who I saw something on her Facebook page not that long ago, how upset she was because she can't afford to come here. She used to come every year.
Airfare alone.
It's horrible to see that. But, for her not being able to come, there's somebody who will take her place, unfortunately.
Right.
And that's where I don't completely agree. I think there are definitely other people to come. But again, those people have always had the opportunity to come. So it's not like they're going to increase the number. But we've said each of
you know what? Maybe there's an angle we didn't look at. Maybe those people always had the opportunity to come, but didn't feel the need, and the pandemic gave them that need because they don't know if something else is going to happen down the road. So we've got to come now.
Yeah, but not into next year is what I'm saying.
The 50th anniversary was, let's go there now. Look, it's a 50th anniversary. Remember when we were kids when we went there? I want to take you to see that park that I went to 50 years ago.
You know what? I don't think the 50th anniversary had as big a part in the crowd levels as you think.
You just got done saying you watched the crowd levels go up in October.
Right, but I didn't say, hold on. But I didn't say the 50th was brand new then. When you have a celebration going on that long, I don't think it has anything to do with why people are coming right now. I think they're coming right now because they haven't been able to come. And I think it's going to continue for a lot longer than you guys do, but that's my opinion.
Yeah. And that's all we're giving is our opinions.
Right. And we're allowed to disagree. I hope you guys are right. I hope I'm wrong.
I don't think we're disagreeing. I think we just have a different opinion.
Different opinions.
Yeah.
How many people are watching this right now on YouTube, beating their heads on the desk going, you guys just went around and around for an hour?
Yeah. Well, an hour and a half.
You're right. You're right. All right. Anyway, let's get out of here. Everybody, have a great weekend. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Well, I think no matter what happens next year, I think we've seen that when it comes to Disney World, it's a whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. And whose point of view is going to be right? I guess we'll find out next year.
Have a magical night. Stay safe. And remember to pack the sunscreen.